Coming up on Ultra Eye, venture to the edge of the Arctic Circle, where Reykjavik is shining a northern light on the style map. Meet a globe-trotting fashion designer whose stunning silhouettes are reshaping Reykjavik's fashion terrain. See how an Icelandic furniture designer is rocking the contemporary design scene. Lounge in a lagoon that's keeping locals and jet-setters forever young. And experience the ultimate in Icelandic culinary creativity. This is Ultra Eye Reykjavik. From its otherworldly landscape to its free-thinking artists, Reykjavik's style is hard to define and even harder to contain. With a population of only 200,000 people, Reykjavik possesses an individualistic spirit, and its style community has become as active as the ground beneath its feet. Natural wonders are abundant in this country, and they provide Reykjavik's creative community with unique materials and inspiration for their distinctive work. The land may be poised atop volcanoes, but it's the style scene in Reykjavik that's generating the most heat. One of Reykjavik's best-known style pioneers is fashion designer Steinunn Sigurd. She's brought cutting-edge chic to the city's main shopping street with her modern, sophisticated and sexy looks. She's been named Iceland's Designer of the Year and Best Nordic Designer at Copenhagen Fashion Week, and most recently she received the honour of being awarded the Knight's Cross from the President of Iceland. She's also one of the world's top knitwear talents, having sharpened her needles working for legends like Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein and Tom Ford at Gucci. With 2 decades of high-fashion globe-trotting experience, she returned to Iceland in 2003 and hasn't looked back. Since then, she's stitched her name into the fashion fabric of Reykjavik, where the landscape provides the ultimate inspiration.
I think by just being here, I've developed something that is quite unique. I started with a collection made out of 16 pieces. And now I have a store here, I have a small company here, and you definitely want a challenge. I think my whole career has been about, I constantly challenge myself.
And one of the biggest challenges Steinunn faces is translating the abundance of Iceland's natural wonders into her modern fashions.
I actually think that people are very interested in what they call Icelandic design because it's organic. It's organic because of the nature that's here. All the fabrics I use are pure fabrics, pure silk, cotton, linen, wool, mohair. There's one quality I use that is synthetic, and that's rayon. And I like the mix of all the pure qualities next to the rayon. So that has allowed me chances to do textures and work in knitwear. They're kind of unique. I grew up with a lot of texture, the textures of the lava, the textures of the mountains, the snow. As a kid playing outside in the snow, I mean, it's an amazing feeling to realize the textures of the snow, how new Christmas snow falls down. It's almost like feathers. And sometimes the snow is not Christmassy looking, like it blows you in every direction and then it freezes and there's a new texture. And then at night when it's really cold outside and the aurora borealis in the sky and you hear the snow crack and it leaves textures when you walk and you can hear it. It's crisp. It's crisp. And when you translate all of that into textiles, you come up with an enormous amount of beautiful textures. The beautiful little fox strips we put in here, are kind of reflecting the ice drops. In Iceland, the glacier starts melting and then you get snow on top of that. You get these beautiful little crystal drops and drapes, which are really, really beautiful looking. My main influence has been the lava. Lava has amazing textures. It can be black, it can have moss on it, it can create shapes and forms and textures that are endless. This actually comes straight from the lava. And I tried to create texture which is, you don't really know what it is. You look at this and you wonder how it is made. This is actually a straight piece of net that we've actually used a very special technique how we gather it together to create a pattern that is almost organic. You really don't know, you can't say it's a ruffle, you can't say it's something, it's just a texture. And when you go into the lava, you can probably find a million versions of the same textures right there.
Steinar leaves no stone unturned when divining inspiration from Iceland's otherworldly landscape. Mighty waterfalls are reborn as cascading fabric, while serene lakes become sexy dresses, and sketches on silk chiffon evoke the tiny wildflowers that blanket Iceland for a few months out of the year.
My summer house is by a beautiful salmon river. And right on the riverbanks, there's always this beautiful spread of a little small plant called, in English, river beauty. And what we decided to do is to sketch up that beautiful flower with a pencil. If you really look closely, here is the drawing of the river beauty. So I look at this dress and I go, well, I took my country with me.
Steinar's not only conquered Iceland's fashion frontier, but she's also made her mark on Reykjavik's main shopping street, Reykjavik. In July of 2007, she opened her own atelier, which showcases the best of Icelandic design.
Every time I walk into a store myself, I like to be inspired and I like to get the feeling of the store. So I wanted to create a very special feeling for this store that I haven't seen in Reykjavik before. First of all, there's art pieces in here by Icelandic artists. Then whatever furniture or things that are in here are actually by Icelandic designers. So it became a mixture of the way I see Icelandic design mixed with clothing and art. And what I've always admired in big department stores or big stores in major fashion cities is the space they give where you actually absorb what's in the store. And half the store now is what I call a gallery where all my mannequins are. I think the aesthetics that I'm putting into the store is new for the Icelandic people, and I'm hoping that they react to it in a good way. So far, the response has been amazing. So I guess I'm on the right track with it.
And what a track it's been, from top fashion houses in New York and Milan, to the North Atlantic island that's become her muse, Steinar has stamped her work with true originality and style.
I remember that for many, many years, I didn't want it to be Icelandic. I think as you go through your own vanity of saying, well, being Icelandic, it's not so cool. But when you get past that and you get past your own vanity, that's when you really start seeing who you really are. I had to face it, and well, I'm as Icelandic as they come.
While Steinar travelled the globe before returning to her native roots, a fellow Icelander has been flying the fashion flag in his hometown of Reykjavik for nearly 30 years. When it comes to luxury, Eggert Johansson's career is as epic as Iceland's mythology. He's one of only 7 Scandinavians who are members of the ultra-elite Purple Club, an organisation comprised of the world's top 100 furriers. He left Iceland to become a seaman, but after setting eyes on a fur store in Germany, he studied bespoke tailoring on Bond Street in London. These days, celebrities and tourists who are feeling flush make special trips to Iceland to check out the opulent furs of this local legend. After all, he created a strapless lambskin dress for Miss Iceland to wear in the 2005 Miss World competition, and she won. Eggert's irrepressible passion for his craft is surpassed only by his boundless pride in his Icelandic heritage.
It is very important to me to be an Icelandic person, so to speak, and it's also very important to me to represent my country. I think it's with most Icelanders that we are very proud of being Icelanders. We want people to see our country, understand what we are doing and why we are here. What I try to give to people that come to Iceland in my collection, I try to make the genuine things. I like things to be perfect. I will go to great lengths to make the perfect garment. That is possibly what is most important to me.
Eggert has set the bar high. Adventurous seekers of chic flock to his store for one-of-a-kind show-stopping pieces. And he delivers, with eclectic garments painstakingly produced from the planet's most exotic materials.
I tend to go to the wild skins because they are more difficult and there are more colors, more natural colors in them than in any other skins. The Canadian wild mink, for instance, that's my greatest favorite. The Russian sable, of course, is really very, very beautiful. Now, this is one of my wild mink coats. The difficulty with the wild skins are that they are not unified like something that is being bred. So you need more skins, you need to have a bigger collection to be able to select furs that will go nicely together. This is it's so important to me. You can see the texture of the skins, the pelts are quite small, so you have a lot of structure, you have a lot of colors. It's more interesting than most of the other furs. Very important today is the paparazzi hood, you know, where you don't want anybody to see you, so you can, you know, close up, you can put your glasses on and nobody actually sees you, you know, and you can hide.
When he's not gathering skins from around the globe, Eggert turns to his native land's natural resources, like Icelandic lamb. And like a dyed-in-the-wool Viking, he looked to the sea for new inspiration. The result? A revolutionary new material known as ocean leather. Even Giorgio Armani and John Galliano for Christian Dior have taken the bait and channeled it into their collections.
There was a small tannery in Iceland that has started working the fish, and I got very, very interested in this. Of course, we are eating a lot of fish and there's a lot of skin that goes to waste, so to speak. I had heard that there had been some developments in Canada and wherever, but they had failed. We started doing the skins differently, softening them up a little bit so they would be more for garments, and this took 2 or 3 years. It was the same with the seal skins. In the beginning, when I started with the seals, people thought that, isn't it old, isn't it like this, isn't it like that? And to work against that, I started using colors. So I would possibly have a person coming in and say, oh, I don't like seals, I wouldn't touch it. No, it's gray, it's old, and it's terrible. You know? And then they would say, oh, what is this green beautiful thing here? It's seal. Oh, really? So in that way, you can use colors to open up minds of people. Sometimes I make ridiculous colors, put them together, and then people, they are almost shocked, and then they see something else, and they say, oh, yeah, well, I like that.
Eggert's passion for his work has sometimes met with impassioned protest, but his convictions have never wavered. He believes his work maintains the stability of nature and sees himself as a link in the natural cycle of life. So to Eggert, there can be nothing more human and humane than to fully use the natural resources that have surrounded him his whole life.
We have had for a very long time people being against fur, and this is of course understandable from the point of view that people have had very little information. I've been working with animals my whole life, and this is what I've been working for a long time, to open up the ideas for people that nature is a part of us and we have to be a part of nature. We cannot just, you know, throw it away, cast away. Nature cannot withstand so many humans if we don't take care of it.
For those with a fondness for furs, Eggert creates exceptional garments that in some cases have taken up to 2 years to create by hand and can cost up to $35,000.
To be a furrier, you have to learn, first of all, how to work with different skins, because they are very different with different characters, and then you have to learn to work them into a design. The way it goes is that I have one of my terrible ideas, and then everybody starts to work on that idea, and in the end I'm happy, and we go onwards and we start producing garments. Styling is very difficult because you always get influenced by the times. But I've never liked very skimpy garments. I don't like to cut corners to make a cheap thing. I want things to be with a volume. I want to see a lot of skins in a garment. And I usually make big garments. I'm terrible at making small, petite things. So the fashion for the last 2 years, it hasn't really suited me.
And though he doesn't follow trends, Eggert is a trendsetter in a rarefied world of custom design and one-on-one treatment. It's an experience that has set the style compass at due north for nearly 30 years.
My customers, they can get all the new styles in Neiman's or wherever. I mean, if that's what they're looking for. But most of my customers, they are not asking for a pre-designed collection. They want to have a big input themselves on what they want to wear. Especially with the wealthier people, they're getting very tired of having everything. They want to have more input.
It's this commitment to his customers and dedication to his craft that has skyrocketed Eggert to international fame. His creativity and reputation have hit an all-time high, and with every stitch and seam, Eggert has made his mark.
For me to work something, I need to have a passion for it. It's like your family, you love your family. Some of the garments that I make, they are like my children. If you cannot create a passion, then it's not worth anything. And I really want to do something that's worth something to me. And if I didn't have the passion, then I wouldn't be doing this.
Rugged and pristine, barren and beautiful, Iceland looks like no place else on Earth. Its dramatic windswept landscape, along with its isolation in the middle of the North Atlantic, has proven inspirational for its artists, making the creative scene thrive in this stylish capital. In the centre of this creative surge is the Icelandic Love Corporation, Reykjavik's most free-thinking art ensemble. ILC is adored on their home turf, and they've also made waves around the world, from the Cannes Film Festival to the Moving Image Archive of Contemporary Art in Tokyo.
We started doing performance because we really liked this instant gratification that, you know, you're there and you're there to experience the reaction of the audience right away. As opposed to a painting where you just make it alone in your studio and then you put it somewhere.
And we just wanted to also take the artworks out of the galleries and the typical museum spaces and get it out on the street or with the public.
And the public was instantly hooked on their quirky je ne sais quoi, which is said to be fueled by champagne, mayhem, and a devout respect for Dolly Parton. The trio met in 1996, and since then, their girly magic's gone global.
We thought it was funny to be a corporation of 3 girls, or actually we were 4 then.
I think what brought us together was the need for doing something different from what we had been doing. And also we thought at one point that art was not fun enough.
We started out making performance, but we very quickly started doing just everything that we wanted to do. And basically we just sit around and talk about things, and then we get ideas, and then we figure out what medium serves the idea best. So we work in every possible media: video, performance, sculpture, poetry, sewing, you know, just
emotions.
Yeah, whatever we find fitting.
While it's not so easy to fit ILC's art into any one category, it's safe to say they turn ordinary objects into extraordinary creations.
We had been talking about dresses that were made out of tents, and then there was this invitation to a show which was dealing with tents, and just one thing led to another, and then this really beautiful idea came out that, you know, to make
A tent lady. She looks like a sculpture, but she is also very performatic or something. You can wear the dress, she can get out of the tent but still wear the top.
She's related to a snail maybe that, you know, carries around its house.
But she can leave.
Yeah, she can detach herself from the house.
She can also invite people to come into her home, but she can also close us.
Ultimate hospitality is to invite guests into your body.
Yeah.
In much of their work, ILC thrives off of getting a reaction, often engaging spectators with a cheeky cocktail of femininity, humour and political commentary. and they don't believe in rehearsing. An aura of mystery surrounds many of their staged performances, and they've been known to spread the love everywhere they go.
This was one performance that the crowd would gather around, and then we would encourage everybody to take all of their bad feelings and all of their disappointments and all of their negative energy and put it into this firework. And then we would literally put it on fire, and all these bad things would just explode into the universe and go away.
And after more than 200 exhibitions, it's safe to say ILC has exploded into the universe as well, with an act that's always in flux and never predictable. One of their latest obsessions threads the past with the present.
The crochet is maybe something related to like our ancestors, or like the engineering of the grandmother, you know. And I think we do it because it fits the idea again, and also because we are honoring these old methods of making things.
But it was Iceland's most famous and futuristic chanteuse, Björk, who envisioned herself in their crocheted creations, proof that Reykjavik's artistic community is literally close-knit.
She saw one of our pieces in a newspaper, and there was a picture from our studio where we were crocheting this mask, which is part of this whole piece that we made called Second Skin. And she kind of connected to that piece and thought it was really related to the ideas that she was kind of thinking about for her new album that she was starting to work on. She explained these ideas about this shaman, voodoo, sort of tribal things and beats that she was sort of exploring.
And then our task was to visualize the music, and that's what we did by this crochet.
Björk wore these woven wonders on her current album Volta, a testament to ILC's creative prowess. But the ultimate accolade was bestowed upon them by their own city. The Reykjavik Museum of Art at Hofnahus honoured the group with a retrospective of their 11 years together.
From the beginning, we were thinking about how we could present our performances without being there ourselves. And then we came up with this idea to work with an architect to help us to install or give the pieces the right atmosphere.
It's been a really positive thing for us. Really, to go through this whole process of putting it together has been really helpful to just, you know, realize that it was worth it, you know, dragging all this stuff around, you know, for all this time.
It's like a chapter.
Yeah, this chapter has now been closed.
Yeah.
But one story that's just begun is the fairy tale of Icelandic furniture designer Gudrun Lilja Gunnlaugsdóttir. She's one of Iceland's premier contemporary artists, having received the Icelandic Visual Arts Award for Design in 2006. Her groundbreaking furniture has been featured in Elle Decor, and though Gudrun's foray into furniture was relatively recent, the building blocks were there from an early age.
When I first started to be interested in design, I think it wasn't necessarily design that I was interested, just creating something. It could be whatever, you know. When you're a kid, you are making a mud cake or whatever. So it's just comes along the way somehow.
And what she's creating is some of the most unique, whimsical and intricately detailed furniture around, with hidden spaces and unexpected touches that toy with the rules of contemporary craftsmanship. Each piece tells a story, and as an Icelander, Gudrun grew up with plenty of tales to influence her.
So there's a lot of adventures and fairy tales. And I think in my case it's mostly the storytelling that is influencing me. Also, it's what people were telling each other, like in long winter nights. They didn't have any radio or television or whatever. They only had the stories that they could tell each other. So some of them were true and not, because of course you have to enrich your life sometimes and add a little extra to things.
And one of those little extras can be found in the form of folklore, which has tiptoed its way into Gudrun's aesthetic. And if you look carefully, you might be able to spot the supernatural beings that loom large in Icelandic lore.
We have people here living with us. We call them huldufólk, and if you translate it, it's called the hidden people. The belief in hidden people, it is like very common. So I made this little paver here for the hidden people to give them clear access to our world. And they have this little staircase that they can come to visit us whenever we want to. And I don't think we can fit there, but we can in our minds, definitely. I really want my work to be playful, that it shows that I enjoy doing it. And I don't want to force myself to stop thinking and say no, I really have to make it flat and boring. I never stop an idea to think this is childish or foolishness or whatever. If I think something is witty or funny, I add it. I just let it happen.
Gudrun's successful Flat Pack Antique series is a perfect example of her whimsical approach, and despite its name, the concept is totally modern.
We bought some really heavy antique stuff in Holland, and it is and we moved to a place here in Iceland that we couldn't even get it through the staircase. It was impossible, so we had to store it. So it's kind of, I like those old things, but they are sometimes just impossible to place or find a new place in their own home. So I decided to make a flat pack antique furniture that would be inspired by moving and old antiques, how that you can screw it very easily and put a flat packet in a box. This is the flat pack, the original, the one that I started with, making those heavy antiques into something simple and transportable. But I also use kind of objects that I find to create more depth in it. I use real tablecloth that some woman or man, I don't know, maybe today, did make. And I put it underneath, so the real thing is actually there. So each item always has some quality that is actually handmade, even though this is really meant for mass production, this flat pack furniture. It has old objects underneath the folia that gives the feeling and the atmosphere of something that you treasure.
And Gudrun treasures her natural environment, so much so that one of her latest pieces pays tribute to it. The Rocking Beauty is not only a striking work of design, but it's also a statement on a controversial environmental issue in Iceland. Gudrun is turning the spotlight on a corporate energy project that's building a large dam, and some see as a threat to one of the biggest wilderness zones in the world.
The Rocking Beauty is very much like what is here happening in Iceland. It's about the nature and the fighting with the money power and what they are doing now. They have been building a huge dam to make electricity for smelting aluminium. So I use the plywood for the earth and the aluminium for the factories, and then macrolon to represent the water. And on the inside it's our nature, and on the outside it's like a barcode stripes that represent the money power. But it's kind of a story that nobody knows about when you look at the chair. But for me it was the inspiration. For the Rocking Beauty, it's only 10 gonna be made. And each chair is assembled in a different way, so it will always have its own barcode stripe and its own pattern inside. None of those 10 are the same, they're all different. And from start to finish, it was made in Iceland. And all of them will be made in Iceland. Here I assemble the Rocking Beauty. It takes me days sometimes to do it, because I have to make always a new combination and think of the composition and things like that. I do put the Rocking Beauty myself together because that is very important for me, this process. I enjoy it, and also it's far too complicated to tell somebody else to see what you want them to see. Yeah, I start just with the layers, and each one is not set before how it will look in the end. I really sometimes take it apart 10 times before I'm happy to see the end result. It's a bit like Lego. And here we have the spider, the evil spider. It should be there, definitely. I actually love it being on the workshop floor. That's my favorite spot to be. All, just dirty with a ponytail. So that's my favorite part, I think, being with people and realizing the idea you have.
And like the hidden beauty found in Iceland's landscape, Gudrun's creativity reveals itself beneath the surface of her work. And she's bursting with enough ideas to propel her far into the future of contemporary design. For her, that means staying hands-on and carving her own name into the local law.
I see myself more going maybe into the limited edition world. In that sense, it is good for Iceland that I can do the whole thing here from really the start to the end. Being from Iceland, it is very strong in you. It's like you are so attached to your roots, so you know where you come from, and you're really proud of also where you come from.
Iceland. Its active landscape is like nowhere else on Earth. In fact, people often liken their first visit to this North Atlantic country with landing on the moon. So it's only fitting that simmering miles beneath this rocky terrain is Iceland's very own Sea of Tranquility, the Blue Lagoon. This man-made hotbed of geothermal seawater was formed in the 1970s in the center of an 800-year-old lava field. The lagoon brought heat to neighboring towns, but it was soon discovered that its waters contained a curative potion of silica mud, algae and minerals. Guests have been enamored of this modern-day fountain of youth for years, and architect Sigridur Sigþórsdóttir has transformed it into the ultimate spa experience.
I find myself very inspired and impressed of the landscape of Iceland, and I'm really interested to work in context of it. The Reykjavik Peninsula is a unique area because most of I think it's the biggest area in the world with historical lava fields. And because I found this natural surroundings so amazing, I was absolutely certain in what direction this was correct way in the design.
The lava is a key visual element of the Blue Lagoon, so Sigridur used it as a unifying motif in all areas of the complex, beginning at the walkway.
That's the start of this lava barrier, so you know, I used that a lot, and I really want that to continue inside the building. And it's also part of the orientation. It reminds you constantly on where are you? You are not in Hong Kong or Brasilia or New York, you are in the Blue Lagoon.
Rather than compete with the breathtaking natural landscape, Sigridur's structures mesh organically with their environment.
In the design of the outdoor elements in the Blue Lagoon, I try to be gentle towards the nature, so I lift it up a bit to remark that be careful against the nature, and the bridge is in the same concept, so they're just for you to tiptoe between these islands here.
Another element to consider was the famous Nordic light. Since Iceland is the land of the midnight sun, Sigridur made sure that guests would fully bask in the constant daylight of the summer months. In winter, when the country is thrown into darkness for nearly 24 hours a day, Sigridur wanted to keep the magic of the lagoon alive, so she created a sophisticated lighting design. And her work has garnered luminous reviews. In 2006, it became the first Icelandic design to win the coveted Nordic Lighting Award.
We are lighting the construction, and the light is coming from these glazed parts towards the bathing area. And then we have a very special lamps, which are in horizontal lights, and it's in 108 degrees. But it has to be very small height of it, because it's not disturbing the guest inside the lagoon, so you don't have glare in your eyes.
The spa formally opened in 1999, and since then, it has beguiled jet-setters, backpackers, and anyone else in search of a one-of-a-kind spa experience. 350,000 guests test these waters each year. Even A-listers like Kevin Costner and Kiefer Sutherland have slathered their Hollywood bods with its famously soothing silica mud. In fact, the steamy lagoon's international cachet proved so great, Sigridur was asked to add new accommodations for visitors wishing to avoid the limelight.
We are now entering the VIP area. We have a changing room, private changing room, on each both sides of the corridor. Where I came from, we have a rest room with fireplace and direct access to the lagoon. In here, you can see where you can change. You'd keep this cell during your visit in the lagoon, and you have a shower. And this blue lighting meets you at the entrance always, so it reminds you a bit of the Blue Lagoon.
Sigurdur is careful to keep her buildings in harmony with nature, whether it's the new VIP structure, which mimics the silica-covered rocks, or the chic new restaurant called Lava, which is literally carved out of the landscape. Sigurdur has helped turn lava into luxury, and as a result, the Blue Lagoon has grown from local wonder into Condé Nast Traveller's #1 medical and thermal spa.
I myself was quite inspired of the mystery and the beauty of this landscape. I do hope that I have brought or translate some of this beauty and mystery inside my design. I aim to do so. I would love to, at least.
The Blue Lagoon is an ideal marriage of man and nature, and a stroll through the streets of Reykjavik brings you face to face with other iconic creations that work in synergy with the land. Hallgrímskirkja Church is the city's main landmark and was designed to represent volcanic rock formations. And then there's Perlin, also known as the Pearl. This supremely striking building is the jewel in the crown of Reykjavik's many monuments. Doors to the Pearl opened in 1991, and since then, over 600,000 guests visit each year, including such noteworthy names as Hillary Clinton and Sir Paul McCartney. But it's not just a stylish attraction, it also happens to house the city's water reserves.
Well, the Pearl is first and foremost those 6 water storage tanks we see here. And this is a storage for the hot water that the whole city is heated with. So for us this is technically very important, but the idea was that people would use this building, not only for water, but it would be a meeting place for people also.
Well, for the first time for people to come here in the Pearl, they usually are very amazed due to the, you can say, the size of it. And when they know that we are holding about 24 million liters of hot water, some gets maybe a little bit scared.
But there's nothing to fear. The Pearl is a 6-story microcosm of Iceland's best. It's home to art shows, business expos, and performances by popular Icelandic artists like Gus Gus and Emiliana Torrini. One of the building's 6 water tanks has even become a museum dedicated to the grand tradition of the sagas. And poised above it all is a restaurant lauded by the likes of Time magazine, Elle, and the UK's Independent. Local delicacies abound at this rooftop haven, which rotates 360 degrees over the course of 2 hours.
The people who come here to eat here are coming here to look at the view and have a look at Reykjavik and for a whole circle of the city.
And while the panoramic views are breathtaking, the structure itself is just as impressive and well worth a trek to the top.
See, there is a glass wall between the tanks, and there is a glass dome above them, and this is what makes the building.
There are about 976 light bulbs in the dome, so it's like a star heaven in the night. And it's different between autumn and winter and summer, so it's always something new.
Like with most projects in Iceland, the Pearl celebrates the land's natural wonders, but in this case, it's done with a man-made tribute.
The geyser inside, it goes up 50 meters, but in the beginning it went up 19 meters. It came all the way up to the 5th floor. So, but there was too much pressure on the motors, so we lowered it down.
And while the Pearl harnesses the power of Iceland's nature, it also blends fluidly into its surroundings.
This building is in the top of a small hill, not far away from the old center of Reykjavik, and the hill has soft contours. So the building, in my opinion, should have no definite direction. It should be in harmony with this hilltop.
Ingemundar's vision for the Pearl was very clear, but strangely, he wasn't the first to imagine it. Nearly 80 years ago, one of Iceland's greatest painters envisioned a similar structure.
One of our famous painters, Jóhannes Kjarval, he did put a story in 1930 and said there was a carpenter who wanted to ask God for his forgiveness for how he had been changing the world, and he wanted to build a house on top of Öskjuhlíð, which was made out of mirrors, which would reflect the northern lights to the ground, to the people, and had a big light on top. So he got very close there.
He saw a temple at the hilltop with mirroring glass that would mirror the light from the sky. The strange thing is that I didn't know about this until afterwards, but it's very strange how similar his vision was of a building here. We are actually standing on the 4th floor of the building. There is a platform around it where people can go outside and see the view, because from this point we can see almost all the city of Reykjavik and the mountains around. Because of our harsh climate, it's very important that the materials withstand the weathering. And I'm very happy to say that this has been standing up extremely well. There are practically only two materials, aluminium and glass. The color of the glass is a little greenish, gray-greenish, and it looks quite different during the day and night. When it's sunny, it's reflecting a lot. When it's rainy, it looks like a pearl, and that's the name of the building. So it's ever-changing, the surface of the glass, depending on the weather.
While the weather and light are always in flux in Iceland, the Pearl is a constant and has attained a permanent place in the landscape.
Perlan is a landmark, like the Eiffel Tower of Paris. And for us to see it in the landscape, it fits. But if you put it somewhere else in the world, maybe it wouldn't fit so well.
Iceland's capital, Reykjavik, has seen a dramatic transformation over the last 10 years, going from quaint Nordic village to international style capital. And with it has come a reputation for non-stop nightlife. Hipsters are flocking in full force to Reykjavik's hottest bars and clubs. And the trendiest hangouts like Solan, B5, and the Rex Bar, created by the legendary Sir Terence Conran, rival clubs in the world's most cosmopolitan cities, thanks to their cutting-edge designs and cool clientele. And after a night of Reykjavik-style revelry, well-heeled visitors now have a number of high-end boutique hotel options. The latest to arrive on the scene is the Centre Hotel Thingholt. More than just a place to lay your head, this high-design haven has won the approval of the London Guardian and the Sunday Telegraph, and it's got an architectural pedigree that's as globally chic as its guests.
For the past decade, Iceland has experienced quite a lot of increase in tourism. And the clientele is also a bit changing. More younger people are coming. We felt that there was a need for a design hotel here in Reykjavik.
In true Icelandic fashion, this destination hotel merges sophisticated design with a reverence for nature.
The modern traveler wants to enjoy the nature and at the same time protect it and enjoy a bit of luxury while he is coming to Iceland. And Hotel Thingholt is a place where he would find it.
And who better to create a stylish, earth-friendly sanctuary than native Icelander Gula Jónsdóttir, who's designed some of the sleekest structures around the world, notably the Crescent Hotel in Beverly Hills and the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel.
When you enter the hotel, there's a lava-like wall with a waterfall coming down, where you have masks that represent the hidden people of Iceland, the mythology of Iceland, where they are coming out from the lava rock. Then further in the lobby, she uses other traditional Icelandic materials in a modern way, like the fish skin on the wall. And you won't notice that it's a fish skin unless you examine it closely.
It's all about the details in this 52-room masterpiece of minimalism. But don't let the understated colours and natural materials fool you. This hotel is packed with plenty of luxurious touches. There's even a guest room with a bathtub decadently placed right in the middle of the space.
One of the designer's favorite room is the loft suite, which has 2 levels. The hotel is partly in an old printing factory, so the staircase is one of the remaining elements of the printing factory.
The hotel's chic interior gives way to an adjoining restaurant called Domo, where the chef moonlights as captain of the Icelandic national culinary team. This haute cuisine hotspot has earned a place on the IT list thanks to its Asian-French menu and trendy laid-back atmosphere.
Reykjavik is also known for its nightlife, and the hotel is located in the city center, quite close to where the vibrant nightlife of Reykjavik is.
Whether it's the strikingly sexy lobby or the quiet elegance of the guest rooms, the Center Hotel Thingholt has revved up Reykjavik's cool factor.
Since the opening, the hotel has been quite successful, and the location of it and the design has been bringing in clients from the jet set of America and Europe, and we are quite happy with the result.
Hotels like the Thingholt have launched Reykjavik into a new stratosphere of style, and any style centre worth its salt needs top-notch restaurants. So in a culinary landscape that's becoming increasingly competitive, the hottest reservation in town is undeniably Silva. Housed within the legendary Hotel Borg in the city centre, Silva was named a Condé Nast Traveller Hot Table for 2007, making it one of the top 100 new restaurants in the world. It's hard to believe that as little as 20 years ago, dining experiences like this didn't exist in Reykjavik. Hafþór Svensson is leading a new generation of chefs who are getting the city on its gastronomic game by taking fresh Icelandic ingredients into new territories.
We were very shy going fine dining at the first, but it's getting better now, and everybody seems to be liking what's going on. I think everybody wants to do good that live here, and we have expectations of everything that we do and try to do the best we can every time. The type of cuisine here is new style cuisine, French, with everything we see that we like in it. I think it's important to bring all the factors all around the world. We can go Italian, Asian, French, and combine that maybe with all that we have here in Iceland.
And what Iceland has is an abundance of quality ingredients that offer this creative chef constant inspiration.
The sheep here in Iceland runs wild most of the year and feeds on the wild moss and the berries and the grass, and it gives the meat a better taste, and that's what I think makes it so special. We have, of course, the lamb with our variation. We're now serving manchego cheese with it and chestnuts, and then we have dill, a combination of dill and butter, and then we put some potato foam on top with the croutons on top.
Fearless foodies in search of the new game in town should sample the reindeer, a popular local delicacy.
It's served in most of the better restaurants here in Iceland, but it's usually not served all year long. Like now, it's coming on season. The reindeer I prepare, but all meat I put in marination with oil and garlic and thyme. Different types of marination, but always those ingredients, oil and garlic. And then just fry that on pan and put that in the oven and cook it right.
Chef Hafþór also likes to explore the sweet side of Iceland.
I'm going to be preparing wild moss brulee with blueberry ice cream and the skyr foam. But it's all Icelandic ingredients that are found in our wildness. I have the brulee. I'm just going to make a little crust. The flavor of the wild moss is pretty hard to explain. It's wild grass, so if you have ever tasted grass, it's similar to that. And when I use it into brulee, I use a little bit of ginger and white chocolate just to make it fresher and sweeter, so it doesn't taste like food that the sheep would eat. Blueberries are very common in Iceland, and it's found all around. And then I got blueberry ice cream. It's made of Icelandic blueberries and then original vanilla ice. And then I have here a skyr foam. Similar to yogurt, but it's much more firmer. It's almost as firm as cheese. And then the finishing touch is that I just chop down a little bit of mint and just spread it over just to give it a little bit freshness.
Chef Hofþór's wild blueberry dessert not only features top Icelandic ingredients, its plating resembles a lava landscape. His visual verve is apparent in every dish he creates. And Silva's stunning design, an Icelandic take on Art Deco, provides plenty of eye candy for its diners.
I think this restaurant is in modern style, and elements from the nature have been placed in the restaurant, like the lava on the bar. Then we have the fire that represents Iceland. And then we have the silver sculpture. It's made by an Icelandic artist. I think it's good to have Icelandic artists in the restaurants. I think it's crucial. It's nice to have something from Iceland.
High-end design and first-rate food that seamlessly incorporate the best of Iceland. No wonder continent hoppers and die-hard locals continue to line up for Silva's world-class dining experience.
I've been to France, I've been to Spain, I've eaten all around the world. And I think our cuisine is just as good as theirs. Yeah, definitely.
Although it didn't appear on the style grid until the 20th century, Reykjavik has come out of hibernation and into the spotlight. As the ice continues to melt, an adventurous artistic community is blazing new trails in fashion, food, architecture, and design. Iceland's most innovative minds can thrive anywhere, but their pioneering spirit keeps them on top of the world, literally, in a place where high design and standout style illuminate a landscape that's out of this world. Coming up on Ultra Eye, escape to the seductive port city of Buenos Aires, which has gone from economic bust to glamorous boom and claimed its place among the world's most stylish cities. Meet the avant-garde artists whose unconventional materials are turning heads in the international art scene. Visit a hotel that's revitalized the city by reinventing Argentine history as modern fantasy. And go behind the gilded doors of one of Buenos Aires' most exclusive restaurants. This is Ultra Eye Buenos Aires.